Okay, so today we are going to create a ECR, Elastic Container Registry. What is this? This is a Docker repository, Docker image repository we are going to create, right, using our ECR. So we had already seen like how can we create our own Docker repository using a Nexus server, wherein we had set up a Nexus server on a bare metal system, as well as we also had seen how to start a Nexus server inside the container and how to create our repository there, and how to then push the images to that repository, how to first of all log into that repository, and how to push our Docker images to that repository. This we have already seen. Now we are going to create a Docker repository on using one of the AWS service called Elastic Container Registry service, which is also called as ECR. Okay, so if you do not want to maintain your own Nexus server, which is either installed on bare metal system or running inside the container, but still the entire maintenance stuff you have to take care of that in that case then. But if you do not want to do that, and you do not want to maintain and keep that infrastructure, so you can go for ECR. Okay, so let's create a repository. So I have already logged into my AWS console. Just go to this search and type ECR, Elastic Container Registry. Let's click on this and let's click on this Get Started. Okay, now here we have the settings for our repository. Now first it is asking for the visibility settings we want to keep. So one is the private and another one is the public. So let's for now go for the public repository. This is publicly visible and accessible for image pulls. Okay, a private repository is the one which can only be accessed by the people whom we have granted the access. Please understand this. If we create this private repository, so it will allow us, the access would be allowed only to those who have been granted the access. Okay, but for now let's go ahead with public, and then we will also create the private repository afterwards. Now here we have to provide the name of our repository. So I will say for example, the ECR. Okay, then let's scroll down. So here it is asking to upload a logo of our repository, which is optional, but let's skip that. Let's scroll down with the images in your repository. So which kind of images we are going to push is what it is asking, but this also we can skip. We can skip the rest of the options and let's create. So this is the repository I have created now. This is the repository. If you go inside it, okay, this is our repository, this one. Okay, now just select this and let's check out these commands, push commands. So if you want to push any repository, okay, then you have to basically do this. Now what we are going to do with this is, we are going to basically, if you check these commands out, see here, use the following steps to authenticate and push an image to your repository, right? So retrieve an authentication token and authenticate your Docker client to your registry is what it is saying. Now what it says is that if you remember, when we had set up our Docker repository in a Nexus server, we had done one thing, and that is Docker login. Okay, so we have to, let's start a Docker. So that same thing we have to do. What we had done that time is, our Docker repository was created inside the Nexus server, right? So what we had done Docker login, and then we had provided a repository name, so which was localhost : 5000. So this 5000 was the HTTP connector we had set, or 8085, I think 8085, I think so. 8085 was our Nexus repository connector, and we had done this command, Docker login and the name of the repository. Then as soon as you do this, it will ask you for the username and password, and we had provided username as admin and password as admin123, which was our default admin user with our Nexus repository. Now similarly, we have to do the thing for this AWS. Now we have to get this command first. I'll explain you this command, no problem, but let's understand this. So first of all, what it is saying, it is asking us to get our this ECR's token, that which we can use in place of our password. Okay, so how to get this, and what is this command, and how to work with this command, let's understand now. So the command is AWS. So there is a CLI comes with AWS command line interface. What AWS CLI is? AWS CLI is nothing but different commands it provides us to work with different AWS services. It's not specific to ECR, but any service for that matter. For example, when you will create a Kubernetes cluster, for example, okay, and now you want to interact with that Kubernetes cluster, you can use AWS CLI for that. If you want to get some information about your current user from your IAM user service, you can use this AWS CLI. You want to work with your S3 blob, you want to upload few files on your S3 blob, which we are definitely going to talk about after this S3 blob, how to create, how to push, how to pull the files. So for that purpose, we can use AWS CLI. Now let me check if I have AWS CLI, which I have. But if you do not have this AWS CLI, I'll tell you how to install AWS CLI. Install AWS CLI on Windows. So I'll provide you with the commands to install the AWS CLI. See here, for Windows machine, this is what we need to do. We need to download the MSI. I'll just put this command in the chat. I'll also create a document to list down these commands. See, installing AWS CLI. So what first step we have to do is download AWS CLI from link below. I'll provide the link. This is the link. Once we download, the next is we have to run the installation. So either we can double click on installation, or we can or from the command prompt also we can do that. But there is a very good alternative they have provided. this one. I'll say or and this. So what it will do is it will download the MSI as well as it will start its it will start running that MSI as well. So either this, so you download the MSI, and once the MSI is downloaded, just double click on it and start the installation, or you can do this also, which will download the MSI as well as will start the execution of that MSI, and it will start the installation of your AWS. Okay, AWS CLI. Now once you have this AWS CLI, how can you confirm if you have got the AWS CLI installed? You have to run this AWS -- version. Okay, so I have got my AWS CLI already installed. So the next is confirm the installation of AWS CLI by running following command. Right? Once we do this, now we can go with this command. So what this command is? AWS ECR -public and get login password. So we are asking it to give us the login password for our repository, which is created in this region. The region is US East 1. So let's run this. Correct. So this is the password. Okay, this is the password. Once we get this, we can do Docker login. Okay, so let's do a Docker login. This is the name of our repository, by the way, this public.ecr.aws. This is the name of our repository. Let's do it. What I'll do is Docker login space, then we have to provide the name of our repository. It will ask for username, so username is this one. We have to provide AWS, and password, this is the password we have to provide. Control C, and I'll just paste it by right clicking. Okay, just a second. Let me take this entire command and execute it. It will auto-fill.
After finishing the installation, what command should I run?
AWS space -- version. This to confirm if you have got your AWS installed.
But it is telling AWS when I put AWS -- version, it's telling AWS is not recognized as an internal or external command.
Okay, now first question. After downloading the MSI, did you run that MSI?
Yes, I have installed and I have finished the installation.
Okay, just kindly close the existing command prompt, start the new one, and in that run this command.
Okay. Okay, so it has given me some result.
Correct. It should show you something like this.
Yeah, it is showing me the same.
Correct. Now once you do this, we have to run this command AWS ECR public get login password -- region.
Okay. Then it's asking unable to locate credentials. You can configure credentials by running AWS configure.
Correct. Okay. Now I'll tell you like what is that AWS configure, because currently I think it is on my system, that's why it is not asking me. Okay, I'll show you now. Just a minute. Let me go to my C users AWS. I think I have got these configurations already configured. Correct, I'll show you now. Let me also remove these files. And when did you ask you to do this? After you executed this command?
I executed the whole command.
Okay. So yeah, this is the error you are getting, right?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So what it is saying is like we have to run then this command AWS configure. I'll show you how to run this. AWS configure. Okay, so then it will prompt you for your AWS access key ID. Okay, now what to do is, let's go to our console. Let me go to my AWS console. Just a second. Yeah, I'll just open it here. Let me go to the console. Once you are inside your AWS console, just click on the right hand top where you see your login name, and there you will see one option called security credentials. Okay, just click on that. Right, once you are here, scroll down and you will see here access keys.
Yes.
Correct? So you have to click on this create access key.
Yeah.
Once you click on it, it will ask you for the confirmation. Just select this checkbox and say create access key.
Yeah.
So it will give you this access key. So this is the access key. Okay, simply click on this copy button here, which is on the left hand side of your access key. It will copy your access key. Come back to your command prompt, press Ctrl V and paste it there.
Yeah.
Okay, then hit the enter. Then it will ask for the AWS secret key. Secret key for this access key. So here we have our secret key. Okay, we have to click on show and click on this copy again, which is again the left hand, which is a button on the left hand side of our secret key. Because see, once you leave this page, you won't be able to see this access key again. You will have to create a new one then. Okay, so don't leave the page unless you copy this and paste here and hit enter. Then which region you want to set as a default region for this configurations. So you can set this US East 1, which is where our ECR is created.
Okay.
And then this here you don't need to provide anything. This is absolutely fine. Just simply hit enter. Once you do this, you will have in your users folder, that is, I'll show you what happens after execution of this AWS configure. C:, users, your current user, another ID in my case. You will see one folder called .aws. Inside that you will see the config file, which is just now created 23rd October. Here you will see the default region which we had set, and in the credentials you will see your credentials, AWS access key and the secret key. Okay, and now let's check this out. Okay, now it is giving us this error because this password is not in the format it expects. Okay, this is what the error is. Now let's check this error, and we need to convert it to some other format. It looks like okay. Okay, so they are saying that we have to remove the cred store key from the docker config. Okay, let's check this out. So it is .docker. Okay, here we have the config JSON. So they are asking us to remove this one. Okay, so let's remove it and try this again. Let's remove this. I have removed it, saved it, and let's check this out.
What I have to remove, like which line exactly I have to remove?
Yeah, just a minute, I'll tell you. Yeah, see, it is login success. Okay, so there was a line here in your config JSON. This was the line. Okay, I'm not able to get it back. I'll show you this line. This was the line, cred store win cred. This line was
in my system, it's cred store desktop.
Yeah, just remove that line and run that docker login command. Once you do it, it will say it login succeeded. Now we can push our docker images there.
Yeah, okay. It succeeded.
Okay, now once we have it, now what we can do is, see, now we can push our images. Okay, now we can push any of our images. Now let me show you one example. Docker image ls, say, and we have this backend app Docker image, okay, which we had created few days back when we were understanding the compose and all that stuff. So this image we have. So what we need to do is, we need to always remember, you need to tag your image with the name of your repository. This is the same for a Docker repository created in Nexus. Doesn't matter where the Docker repository is created, in Nexus server or on ECR or on ACR. You have to tag your image with your Docker repository name. Okay, so what we have to do is Docker tag, and this is the name of our image, say backend app latest, and we have to tag it with the name of our repository, which is Pranada ECR in my case. I have tagged this image Docker image ls. Now my repository, my Docker image is, let me see, this one, Pranada ECR. Let me just name it like Pranada ECR / backend app, because this Pranada ECR is name of my repository Backend app is the name of my Docker image. Okay, so your Docker image, this entire thing is basically your Docker image, but your repository name should be part of your Docker image is something we need to understand here. And I
Pranava, can you explain this command once again? I did
yeah.
not exactly.
So what we are doing is currently I already have one Docker image created which is with this name, backend and v1. Okay. Now what I am doing is I am changing the name of this Docker image to include my ECR name. So I am changing the name with the help of docker tag command. So this is my image name and this is the v1 is the tag which indicates the version of my image, right? So I am changing this to include my repository name. My repository name is Pranava ECR, which we just created, slash the name of my application. So this entire thing is my Docker image name. This entire thing is my Docker image name only, but there are two sections to it. One section, which is this, indicates my repository, and this section indicates actual name of my Docker image, and after colon this indicates the version of my image. Okay, now and now I can push this Docker image. I'll say docker push. Now you can see it is pushing. Okay, it is saying that requested access to the resource is denied. So it says that I do not have access to push my Docker images, is what it is saying. Okay, so I need to push it in this. Okay, I need to basically tag like this. Sorry, this is how the tag should be. Let me retag my image. Backend app. Okay, and now I can push my image. Docker push. Not authorized. Okay, it says that I am not authorized. That's fine. We will.
So should we just change the image name in that command?
Yeah, I have already done that.
I'm just asking for my confirmation to just put it.
Yeah. What you have to do is like you have to tag your image like this. This is the name of my image now. Like this is the name of my repository. This entire thing. Slash the name of my Docker image, backend app, colon the version, like this indicates my version. Let me just log in inside my the login is succeeded. Yeah, so your password will be stored unencrypted. That's fine. And now I should be able to Docker push. I think I don't have the required access. docker push okay, that's fine. So now the ECR just a minute, docker image ls, and let me just docker tag and let me just retag it. Just a minute, I'll just retag it with this name. Now I am able to push the image. Now the image is being pushed. Let it push. I'll be just back in a minute. Yes, so now image is getting pushed. So as soon as the push is done, we should see that image here inside this. Yeah, we are going to see it here.
Pranathay, can you put these steps in that Word doc so that we can refer it for future?
Yes. Get the login ECR login password and do docker login using following command. Yeah, so I'll just mention that also, that removing that, the line. So first what I'll do is open what I'll do is, so here user, I'll say open username. Okay, open this file and then remove this line, remove this line from config.json, save the file and then do this command. Docker login, username AWS, password, and here we have to provide our ECR name. I'll give the example also. Example, this command. And once we do this, we have to tag your Docker image like this. This should be the tag of our image. Docker image example. I'm giving my example. And then push. Docker push this, right, and we can see the Docker image here. Yes, so this is our image, a tag, and our image is this, another ECR. This is the name of the repository, right? And let's say if I want to push any other image, for example, let's say I want to push this Mongo image. So I'll say docker tag Mongo latest. So we have to first retag it. This, I'll change the name now. So I'll say one of the ECR slash Mongo I need to basically, okay, I need to change it to another ECR Mongo. Now this also will not, okay, so it says that the repository with this name does not exist. Okay, so that's fine. We can create one more repository also, and to that we can push the images. That's absolutely fine. But we have got this registry repository, so that should be the name, and we should push the image. Okay, so this is how you can create your ECRs, and you can push your Docker images to the ECR.